It's like, you can't predict the future, but the future's there. You know, you just have to wait it out. Life gets better. You will eventually grow out of this. You'll be able to move on in your life. You'll start to be able to be around people that care about you, and you'll be able to, you know, make choices that are good for you. And you'll be around people who care about your feelings as much as you care about theirs. And so don't make those those really in the moment rash choices like suicide. You know, and talk to your parents. You know, talk to a counselor at school. They're there for you. I know it's hard because when you're a kid, everybody's lame. Who's an adult, and none of us know anything, and we're all out of touch. But they're the people that are going to care about you, and they are going to care about your feelings.
In the dead of night, when the world's asleep, I'm haunted by dreams that I cannot keep. Whispers in the darkness, shadows in my mind. Haunted dreams, they're all I find. Haunted dreams, they consume my soul. A never-ending cycle I can't control. In the depths of my sleep, they come alive. Haunted dreams where I strive to survive. Visions of the past, ghosts of the present. In my haunted dreams, they're ever present. Memories and regrets, they intertwine. In this twisted realm, I'm left to find. Haunted dreams, they consume my soul. A never-ending cycle I can't control. In the depths of my sleep, they come alive. Haunted dreams where I strive to survive. I wander through the corridors of my mind, haunted by echoes of what's left behind. But I won't let these dreams define my fate. I'll break free from this haunting state. With every nightmare I'll find my strength. In the realm of dreams I'll go to any length, confronting my fears, facing the unknown. Haunted dreams, I'll make them my own. Haunted dreams, they consume my soul. A never-ending cycle I can't control. In the depths of my sleep they come alive. Haunted dreams where I strive to survive. In the morning light, I'll awaken strong. Haunted dreams no longer a lifelong song. I'll conquer the darkness, find peace within. Haunted dreams no longer my sin. My haunted dreams, they're ever-present song. Memories and regrets, stay intertwined. In this twisted realm, I'm left to find. I'm left to find.
What's up? This is Chester. We're here at Signal Snowboards. We're going to be making a snowboard to auction off for the earthquake and tsunami relief in Japan. You can go to musicforrelief.org to find out details.
We're going to lay records on top of this one. We've done it once before and it came out really cool, and here we go. So just a little stripe.
Just a little stripe.
Perfect. Did you see that? That was insane.
That's a perfect pour.
Perfect pour.
I feel like I've done this all my life.
Make sure everything's wetted out so nothing delams out there on the hill. That looks good.
Good?
Yeah. So then we go with the first layer of fiberglass here.
We're ready for the next pouring?
I am. Look at that. Look at all this. The edge of the board will get cut off in the bandsaw, so you can just kind of lay it on.
I'm left-handed, so we're going to have to fight over the middle space.
All right. You take it over.
No one wants to sit next to me at the dinner table.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of wood is this stuff made out of?
This is poplar wood that we get out of the Midwest. It's known for being lightweight and durable. That we kind of line them up with. And then we do the same. You know, like when you're out riding and you're getting all that response, a good wood core can make or break your board. So this is the last layer before we put on the record.
So there's five layers?
And then the records, so I guess the records would be 6.
Well, the first thing I learned when I was learning snowboarding was how to knock yourself out. I learned that one.
I think every snowboarder learns that one pretty quickly. And what's cool about the records is they do heat up and expand a little bit. So
the most important is finding the center.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let it happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. This one's on the nose here. There you go, just slide them over.
Is that cool?
Dude, that looks actually amazing.
It must be perfect.
Must be perfect. And then we take these little clips and we throw them like right in here.
So this is just it's gonna press it into its shape.
So you're just gonna grab this lever and
the lever
push it down.
3, 2, 1, bring me to life! It's gonna look better used. It has to be ridden at least once or twice. Don't buy it and then just make it live a life on the wall. You know what I mean? That's horrifying for a snowboard. That's like purgatory. It doesn't want to die and be hung on a wall like a deer's head. It wants to be a deer and run through the forest. I heard that you guys had gotten back from a trip to Japan like literally 2 days before the earthquake and tsunami hit.
Yeah, it was 2 days before. We had just spent 10 days there riding all these insane mountains, hanging out with our distributors and all our friends over there. So it was pretty heavy for us when we got home.
Had you ever been to Japan before?
Yeah, you know, it's like we do. We've been there so much, and it's like it's one of my favorite cultures. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can tell from the disaster how amazing they are because they're not looting and they're not going nuts. They're all very cool.
When I heard that Japan had been hit by an earthquake of that magnitude, and then you knew that a tsunami was coming afterwards.
Right.
And I was so worried because, you know, we've been to Japan many times and it's one of our favorite places. And Mike has a bunch of family that live out there, but we all love Japan and the people are amazing. It really goes to show you how well the society's infrastructure worked, because this disaster could have been way worse in terms of the loss of life that it has been.
Absolutely. But you can see them working so hard and diligently, and they're on it.
But something that is unavoidable would be getting sick from the radiation.
Right.
And so there's going to be a really long-term need for relief.
It wiped out complete towns. Sendai, a lot of people don't know this, was a huge surf culture. So it was like one of the hot spots for surfing. And that is completely gone now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in action sports who are definitely reaching out.
I want to thank you on behalf of Lincoln Park for donating the time and the resources to make this board. And I know someone out there is going to make a very generous donation to get their hands on this thing.
Thank you for coming out and building this board. You were a natural.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see if we can raise some more awareness.
All right, cool. You can bid on this snowboard at musicforrelief.org. Proceeds benefit the earthquake and tsunami relief in Japan. Thank you for your support.
I wish it wasn't so. I know what it takes to move on. I know how it feels to lie. All I wanna do is trade this life for something new, holding on to what I haven't got.
Behind me, the excavators are working on what was the largest technical school here in Haiti. Between 200 and 300 students. Still unknown how many of those kids made it out of here alive. It's very evident that many didn't. The stench of death in the air from under the rubble is almost unbearable at times. It's very disquieting. We do know that 15 teachers have perished in the rubble behind us here, and the resolve of the Haitian people, the testimonies they share of escaping buildings like this, of standing ready to rebuild Haiti, that would be very heartening.
What's up? This is Chester from Lincoln Park, inviting you to support Music for Relief's Power the World campaign to provide clean energy tools to people around the world living without electricity. Tools like solar suitcases that provide adequate lighting for surgeries and childbirth in rural areas. Join the campaign today so you and a friend can win a chance to get round-trip tickets to Los Angeles to meet the band and even interview us on Facebook Live. Visit propeller.la/Power the World to get involved. See you guys in Los Angeles.
We just finished driving through the downtown historical district, and it's nothing short of amazing. The level of destruction there. If you can imagine the heart of a city being totally flattened and what that can do to the psyche of a city, it's a pretty depressing thing to see. This afternoon, bodies burning in the streets, still the stench of death in the air. But the physical destruction is sobering enough. And as you can see over my shoulder here, now we're outside of the downtown district, and you can see these people living on the hills and in the valleys, just how the earthquake came in the early evening and just shattered life as they knew it. Now I've been to a lot of places around the world, a lot of places in the aftermath of tragedy and war and bloodshed and strife. Nothing prepared my heart for what I've seen here in Haiti. I'm used to having children and people coming up and begging of me for money, for things, for articles. This is the first place I've been to where people have actually come up to me and begged for water. You know, something as basic as water, approaching me and saying, "Do you have water? Do you have water to share?" As we drove in to the city, into the very highly damaged central district of the city, as we got closer and closer, the damage became worse and worse. So to put another perspective to this tragedy is that the places of highest population, a business district, right before work is letting out and right before people are picking up their kids from school, is when this disaster strikes. Granted, if it had struck during the middle of the night, the casualties would be higher, but the timing and the centrality of the damage here took a very high toll accordingly. As we traveled in here, though, it's wonderful just to see the resiliency of the Haitian people, working with even small mallets, trying to bust up concrete, to have it moved out, to be able to recycle the iron bars that were in it. There's just a whole industry going on right now of salvaging and recycling. And in a country of such high unemployment, we have actually opportunity for people to try and earn a living in the midst of this tragedy. I can attest that the Haitians have hope. There is a lot of hope here. There's a lot of belief in the promise of a new Haiti. This is a Haiti that doesn't want to just put the plaster over the cracks. This is a Haiti that wants to rebuild anew and to truly make a difference.
Traffic Jam Campaign. The Traffic Jam Campaign unites musicians and their fans to join the fight to stop child trafficking domestically and around the world. Since 2004, Traffic Jam has raised substantial funds for community-based prevention, rescue, and aftercare solutions for highly vulnerable and previously enslaved children in over 20 countries. Traffic Jam works with many faiths, NGOs, and government programs. Traffic Jam unleashes music to stop child trafficking. The ability to work musicians into the documentary will help to give other identifiable voices for these children. For example, Pat Benatar said that her Hell is for Children song is all about child abuse. There are many artists that have written similar types of songs, or who simply want to speak up for the children. Given the right songs or talking points, artist vignettes could offer a good transition from one episode to another in the documentary. Often a good story isn't enough. The inclusion of artists, both on the soundtrack and with vignettes in the movie, will add a lot more sizzle, media interest, and potential viewership. Some of those artists involved might include the Dave Matthews Band, Rolling Stones, Sheryl Crow, John Mayer, Linkin Park, etc. Website developed by Pride and Pixel. Team by Graph Paper Press. All content copyright 2017 by The Silent Children. Story outline. Our story will be told through several different windows into the subject matter. Our visual narrative will be drawn from among the type of examples below. As the project's research develops, specific storylines might change as situations are presented to the filmmakers. The documentary form offers fluid opportunity for discovery and revelation. Overview. Our overview will be provided by Paul Mayel. Paul will take us through his extensive personal field experiences in over 60 countries, including recent work in Haiti and Southeast Asia. Film and photos he has created while on assignment will illustrate his story. The Traffic Jam Campaign. We will follow the work of the Traffic Jam Campaign. This will include interviews and on-camera testimony from multiple celebrities and performing groups involved with this project. Examples of talent we might include are the Dave Matthews Band, the Rolling Stones, Sheryl Crow, etc. Child trafficking in the United States. We will isolate one story and, through undercover investigative work, expose both the perpetrators and their clients. This will bring us directly into our own backyards and reveal that this problem is not just one of developing nations. Our approach will be that of a crime drama in the style of such popular television shows as Law and Order, Special Victims Unit. Special Operations Team. One segment might follow a group of highly trained individuals as they document and build evidence to present a legal case against those involved in these heinous acts. Then we will feature several current intimate stories. Here are two examples of the type of material we might explore. Moldova. Basically, we have a girl in our program who was trafficked out of her village in southern Moldova with false promises of a job in Moscow. Many young women in her village were trafficked with her. The Chechen mafia was behind it and actually put her in a lab with 200 women where she was sexually abused and forcibly impregnated to have children for organ trafficking. These kids' organs were going to Saudi Arabia and beyond. Russian special services liberated them, probably more so because it was Chechen and not out of a general sense of moral obligation. This is all well documented, as is the legal processes she tried to follow afterwards. Her lawyer was actually assassinated during the process. Upon departing, she made it look like she settled in Romania, but actually went back to Moldova. The Chechen mafia has apparently figured out that she's in Moldova now and has told her that she will be killed if she shares her story. So, basically we have a pretty powerful story, but it may necessitate us providing protection or asylum for this individual. With this particular motive and partner, we also have a young girl who was rescued at 3 a.m. by our partner as she was about to be shipped out. She's now in one of our transition homes. It's a pretty compelling story also. Put them together and you have the girl who avoided a bad fate, plus the girl who didn't. Source, confidential report from 1-8 organization dated October 23, 2010, by Paul Mayel. Romania. The 15-year-old had been trained in prostitution in a nightclub in the southern Romanian city of Calrisi. Now, the sex traffickers were getting ready to sell her off to a Turkish brothel for $2,800. Diana Medii, Romania's leading advocate for the victims of trafficking, had made contact with the girl and offered to wait outside the nightclub in her car, ready to take the teenager away if she could get out on the street for a cigarette break. But the girl had tried to escape before, and had been beaten severely. Ms. Medii was not sure she would have the courage to try again. Then she appeared, bolting for the car and scrambling into the back seat. The hitch came a few minutes later. As Ms. Medii gunned the engine and raced down unfamiliar streets, worried that the traffickers would follow, she got totally lost. I kept shouting at her to tell me where to go, Ms. Medii said. And finally, I stopped the car and I realized it was me who was being dumb. She was so scared, there was no way she could help me. For more than 10 years, Ms. Medii, a psychologist by training, has been pulling young women out of the hands of traffickers, sometimes by staging kidnappings, sometimes just by offering them a place to stay, heal, and rebuild their lives. Source, NY Times, October 9, 2010. Additional countries, TBD. Website developed by Pride and Pixel. Team by Graph Paper Press. All content copyright 2018 by The Silent Children.
Hey Yale, this is Chester from Linkin Park. 1, cancer sucks. 2, we support the Relay for Life of Yale University in the fight against cancer, and so should you. Cancer is a disease that affects us all. It does not discriminate, and it takes thousands of lives every day. Join the Relay for Life to celebrate the lives of those who've survived cancer, remember those we've lost, and fight back against this faceless killer. To sign up or donate, you can go to www.relayforlife.org/Yale. And if you're alumni, you too can help your alma mater defeat cancer and Harvard by going to www.defeatharvard.com
and together we will save lives.
All the people streaming out of this church right now are homeless. They're living on the streets. Every single one of them. Hundreds of people that are coming to the church looking for water, looking for food, that tonight will sleep on the streets during the rainy season at risk of being rained on and having a disease flowing into the areas where they're camping. Every single one of these children, the adults, the children, all living on the streets.
Devastation that we are seeing here is beyond description. You can't use words and adequately describe what we're seeing. The photos, the video that we're taking is probably not going to adequately describe what we're seeing. It is devastation beyond anything that I've ever observed. Just a few feet away from where I'm standing, there's actually a body that was still observable in the rubble that we can see from the street level. Yet life goes on all around us.
I mean, we see the images on CNN, you know, the panoramas of these tent cities that have sprung up all over the city here. But when you go into the byways and the alleyways of these tarps, you see daily life being lived out. Beds that double as couches for people to relax on during the day. The same tubs that they're soaking their beans in and rice in is the tubs they're bathing their children in. Playground equipment doubles as a place to sit. Everything is occurring in very compact spaces where people are trying to seek community, seek protection and safety from the structures that are still very weak around them. And to walk into one of these tent cities is to walk into a microcosm of society here, albeit lived out in a different way than they're used to. As you can see, whole families, whole communities gather here. They've set up in community to find safety in numbers. You can see the tarps and bed sheets and other things that they've used to construct this temporary abode. And although it's pleasant now with the light breeze coming through here, the rains are about to come and the winds are about to come, and we've been told that the gusts can be anywhere between 40 and 50 miles an hour during the rain season. So if you can imagine what a scene like this would look like in the midst of pretty powerful storms and the water and the sewage and other things coming into the grounds, it will turn into a scene of inconvenience, but some comfort, into a scene of desperation. A lot of these tent cities in and around Port-au-Prince are typically springing up in the low areas, in clearings that previously did not have buildings on them. The reason those areas are vacant is because they're basically floodplains. And if you can imagine, with the rainy season about to begin here, literally tens and tens of thousands of people that have set up tarps just like this in floodplains. And we're not talking about water that's just going to bring discomfort and damage here. We're actually talking about water that is going to bring disease and death, because as the water filters down through the rubble from the hillsides, through decomposing bodies and sewage, that's going to end up right where tents such as this are presently set up. And so it's rather a desperate situation right now with the rainy season practically upon us here, to be able to move people out into high ground. And in this case, this is a relatively safe tent area. Again, it's on the common grounds of a church. It sits a little higher up, and they will probably avoid such a messy, potentially fatal situation. But that's not the case with most of these tent cities in and around Port-au-Prince. I'm sitting here next to my new friend Rude, And Rude has one heck of a smile. The joy that emanates from this child is even more remarkable when you consider his story. Rude doesn't speak much English, so I can be frank with you. It's a very sad story indeed. On the day that the earth shook, Rude says that in his home it came in 3 waves. He had just returned from bringing water to his family and sat down to watch a little TV, and the first quiver of the house shook the TV to the ground. Rude started to run. He fell. He stood up again. The next quiver, shake, tremor forced him to the ground, and he got up again and ran, and this happened 3 times. On the 3rd time, the roof came down, killing his parents, a cousin, grandparents, a sibling, a little baby that his mother was nursing at the time. And when the roof came down, it took off Rude's arm, pinched his arm, and he was trapped next to his mother, head to head. His mother was killed instantly, as Rude described it graphically. Her stomach spilled out, and she became big over the next day. The bloating occurred while he was trapped under the roof, head to head with her. Rude, again, you can tell, has a spirit of joy in him that surpasses all understanding. We're right here in the midst of, it's one thing to see the big buildings downtown, the grocery stores, the places of business and industry that have collapsed and taken people's lives. It's certainly a more sobering and it's certainly a more sobering experience to actually see people's homes. Today we've seen bodies of people beside their homes that were crushed in their homes, and we see their articles of clothing, we see the things that they've held dear, paintings and keepsakes and collectibles that are just strewn around, things that these people at one point held as precious, as having meaning in their lives, and now they're here to be scavenged. And you see, the remnants of lives lived here. You see photographs, furniture, articles of clothing. It really personalizes the extent of this tragedy. Obviously, coming upon bodies and skeletal remains puts a human face on this, but when you see the drawings of a child or the homework of a school pupil, it really hits home. There's obviously a body here somewhere. It's not visible, but the stench is exceedingly strong. Somebody was entombed here in the remains of their house. Here we have Ted, Wilfred, and Sebastian, and we're in one of the poorest areas of Port-au-Prince. All 3 of these children, they're not related. They're from different family groups. All 3 of them lost both parents as a result of the earthquake, so they're all double orphans. They do have relatives though, but the relatives are stretched thin right now. They can't even feed their own families, let alone take in children from from brothers or sisters or cousins, and understand one thing as far as these 3 children are concerned and the thousands of children that they represent, is that these kids don't have to be in orphanages or even family-style homes for that matter. They can be reunited with relatives with just a little bit of resourcing. You put them back into families. You put them back into situations of stability and love. The alternative is they're in an orphanage somewhere with hundreds of other kids, and that is not what a kid deserves. Every kid deserves a family, and every kid deserves their family. This little girl here, her name is Valentina. Such a beautiful name that has seen such tragedy at just the young age of 12 years old. This is her house behind us, and when the tremors hit this area, she was outside. She ran to her door and was told by a neighbor, don't go in, it's not safe. And as she saw her house crumble, all her family was crushed inside. Her mother, her father, auntie, uncle, cousins. She tells us too many to count. We've been asking her how many family members, and she can't even give us a number because so many of them were in here. She says that bodies are still trapped under this rubble, that some have been taken out and burned like wood. But for this little girl right now, her whole world, everything she knew behind her here, her family, her house, her security, was taken away in an instant. Right now she has a neighbor that has taken her in and is caring for her. We don't know how long that will last, but for at least the time being, she has a family that has taken her in. You can imagine what is going through a little girl's heart like this, knowing that she's the only one who survived. She almost entered the house and was prevented from doing so. The survivor's guilt that comes along with that, but just the immediacy of the tragedy that she saw everything crumble down right before her, in front of her, everything taken away from her in an instant. Haiti is no stranger to natural disasters, and how soon we quickly forget. Once the headlines, once the stories are gone from the headlines, we tend to forget the suffering of thousands of people. And I have here in my arms here orphans of 2 disasters here in Haiti. Darlene here on my right, 6 years old. Sweet Darlene. Her parents were washed away in the hurricane of 2008. And the church we're visiting here today is caring for her as an orphan of a hurricane. And we also have David's son, also 5 years old, here on my left, who is a double orphan, lost both parents in the most recent disaster, the earthquake of January 2010. David's son was in a house much like the one behind me that completely collapsed, killing everybody in his family. So we have 2 kids here, Darlene and David's son, both double orphaned from 2 separate disasters here in Haiti. These are some of the precious children in the shelter project in Thailand. It's one of the projects that we sponsor. Look at these wonderful, smiling, beaming faces that have been rescued from all manner of difficulties and vulnerabilities, and yet these are kids that have a hope and a future because of projects such as this. It's 5 a.m. in Patpong, one of Bangkok's prostitution districts. This bar beside me here has a rather offensive name, but the truth is that everything that goes on this street and many like it in Bangkok is truly offensive. This particular bar is very close to one of our partners who's working in this area to rescue kids and women from slavery, from being trafficked into situations such as this. This particular bar that is shuttered up right now has been known to actually auction off virgins. Typically girls from the hill tribes, very naive, used to a very simple village life, who are then propped up on a stage here, put in bikinis in front of many gawking men who bid on the right to take her virginity. This particular bar promotes that, letting people know in advance of the auction. These girls, we are told, are standing amongst predators with looks of fear and trembling in their eyes. And the organization that we are working with here has rescued a couple of these girls before this has become their fate. Bars like this have no shame. Areas of prostitution like this simply have no shame. Taking girls out of rural areas and bringing them into situations of high vulnerability, high danger. Myself and two operatives have been going into these bars, brothels here in the Bangkok area, trying to get a better sense of what's going on behind closed doors, taking in hidden cameras, trying to capture some of the images of these girls that are in bondage, either debt bondage or bondage to expectations to send home money to their families. But there are far seedier areas here in Bangkok where deep undercover men even pay for the privilege of seeing two children engaged in sexual acts. Children that are forced to have sex with one another, with men throwing down money and encouraging them and egging them on. There is really no limit to the depths of depravity. There's no limit to the pushing of the envelope to satisfy the desires of man. You're an orphan who's lost your parents and you've been sent to a boarding school. Within that boarding school, you start noticing that the teachers are coming into the dorm rooms at night. You hear the muffled cries of some of your classmates. Pretty soon you become completely aware that at night these teachers, multiple teachers, are coming in and raping the students. The next girl you're going to hear from was in such circumstances, fighting off these would-be teachers, leaders. She was beaten many times. Fortunately, she was rescued and escaped the ultimate abuse. But the scars run deep, and it takes a loving home, a place where people are willing to love you and build into you to be able to help mend some of those wounds. Watch, listen, learn, and be moved by her story. We're standing in one of the hundreds of bars that keep literally thousands of prostituted women, girls, boys, practically enslaved or literally enslaved in the walking district of the Walking Street area of Pattaya. And Walking Street really is a play on words. This is an area for street walking. Many girls stand outside the bars gesturing patrons in through deals of happy hour drinks and the enticement of the flesh trade behind the scenes. But quite frankly, a lot of it here isn't behind the scenes, it's out in the open. As you walk past these bars, you know, typical structure would be like this, where there's multiple small bars within a big bar that are individually owned, each little bar having its own set of girls, pole dancers, gyrating and gesturing clients in. As we've walked the streets here, we've had signs held up letting us know without doubt what is offered. We've had girls gesture sex acts to us to again let us know that this isn't just a bar scene, this isn't just a go-go bar scene, this is a place of prostitution. Now, a lot of the girls, they're actually on the street trying to get clients into the bars would be younger girls, seemingly there in order to meet the requirement here in Thailand that girls be 18 or above. But the girls on the street are clearly a lot of young girls, and it's pretty obvious to the passerby that they are available for a price also. Same thing with boys. A lot of boys here, a lot of boys dressed up as girls. Our heart breaks for them. We have no idea the abuses they've suffered in their past to now take this on as an identity, either by choice or force. They have now assumed identities where they are serving older Western and Asian men while dressed up as girls. The district here is just a labyrinth of these bars, where interspersed with bars you will find short-term stay hotels, where for a few dollars a hotel room can be attained for a few hours. Obviously, leaving no doubt with the imagery that's associated with those signs, those advertisements, as to what those rooms are being used for. As we've walked this street here, it feels like a carnival atmosphere. It's almost a circus of wares on display, and probably some of the most unsettling images are of some of these tourists walking down this street with their children and allowing their children to soak up what can only be described as a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. We also see a lot of European girls on display here, a lot of Russian language signs. Believe that most of the girls here from Eastern Europe have been trafficked in from Moldova and now serving a Russian-speaking clientele that also comes here to this part of Thailand to enjoy the pleasures of the flesh trade. The only thing I can say in summing up walking down a street like this is that you just feel like you're in a bizarre ultimate dimension. You just can't believe that this kind of stuff can exist in this day and age and exist within a nation that on the surface appears stable and prosperous, and yet this stuff's going on. And the sad reality is that Thailand, with its understanding of being a trafficking hub for this region, is really just on the leading edge of what we can expect to see more and more the world over. Here in Pattaya, Thailand, there's a walking area that runs the length of the beach here, with palm trees and deck chairs. A typical holiday scene, with the exception that every third or fourth person you're seeing is a white, typically old Westerner, hand in hand with a young Thai girl that is his girlfriend for the day, sometimes for 3 days and maybe even up to a week, walking again hand in hand as if in a relationship, which is just kind of a bizarre thing to see. At night, the same strip is a lot of these Thai girls and also some girls that are obviously from Cambodia and Vietnam, just sitting on benches along this walkway, waiting for somebody to pick them up, or actively soliciting the passersby who they've got a pretty good likelihood of being here for that reason, so it's a pretty good captive audience as they put themselves on display. Not sure how these girls differ from those that are in the go-go bars. Perhaps they are owned by those same bars who place them out here, but More than likely, there's other reasons why they're sitting amongst the palm trees as opposed to being in the bars. Some of it may simply be supply and demand. They may have HIV/AIDS that has caused them to be outcast, or they may be simply too young to pawn off as 18-year-olds, too high of a risk to where they have to be sold outside of the purview of the go-go bar that may or may not own them. For me, this is one of the more troubling scenes. You're going into the walking street and seeing the neon lights and the girls on display dancing in glass boxes and around poles and beckoning men in like sirens. This is actually more troubling, just seeing the daily activity of girls hand in hand with their johns, and girls who are just simply on display for the passers-by. As a father to an Asian daughter, that is extremely troubling to me.
I'm just across the border in northern Thailand, actually in Burma, and the sign behind me pretty much says it all. An exhortation to not sell your children, to not see your children be placed into domestic servitude, to beat and abuse them, and to also see them in a situation of child prostitution or sexual slavery. The fact that this sign's even here is pretty telling, because this here is a channel into Thailand where children are sold for these purposes, for sexual exploitation, for domestic service, to suffer all kinds of abuse and degradation.
We're currently in one of the many floating villages here in Cambodia, primarily Vietnamese population that lives on the waterways and fishes what's becoming a quickly depleted fishing source from the Tonle Sap down through the rivers. Impoverished communities here. Very respectable organizations banded together and did some research a few years ago and concluded that 30% of families living in communities like this end up selling a child into the sex trade, and another 30% have seriously considered it. So 2/3 of the population have either sold or seriously considered selling a child into the Cambodian sex trade. Our partners here say that that's a conservative statistic and reckon that 60% or so of these families have sold a child. The sense here is that that's normal, that it's gotten to a point where selling a child is part of normalcy here. It's openly known and openly accepted as a result. Typically when they sell a child, it's not for a future hope. They're actually looking to pay off debts. And so to give up a child isn't to provide additional opportunity or hope for your family. It's often just to get yourself out of the hole that it's been dug up until that point. Obviously a very sad set of circumstances to be brought to the point where your only option is to sell one of your daughters into the sex trade. So we've been working with our organizational partners here, visiting families, trying to strategize on some programs for this village and villages like them. Education, skills development, things that can build value in these children and build a hope and a future in these children. And in most cases, the request is education, because education equals opportunity. We just met with a family of 4 children, 3 of them girls, highly at risk. And when asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are your dreams, your aspirations? No matter how you state it, they just say we want to read and write. Beyond that, to think of becoming a doctor, a lawyer, is a dream that is a dream that is just either out of reach or it's not important, because what has to precede that is to be able to have basic education and to read and write. If we can help establish schools, skill development programs in a floating village like this, that opens up the door to a future, and a future of opportunity, as opposed to a future of potential slavery, bondage. Projects don't have to be big to have a big impact. In this poor Vietnamese community here in Cambodia, where so many children end up getting sold in the sex trade, a simple building like the one behind me that we've been funding as an organization can make all the difference in the world. A simple school, kids being able to learn some English and some basic foundational skills that can give them a leg up in life and help them potentially avoid a rather horrible fate of being sold. Basically, if children are built into, through programs such as this, giving them an opportunity to get decent jobs, or even if the family can see there's a potential that their children might be able to give them an income source in the future, these families would much rather see that be the case than to sell their children now and maybe regret that decision for the rest of their lives. It's estimated anywhere between, gosh, by some accounts, 1 million up to 2 million ethnic Vietnamese live in Cambodia. The Vietnamese are really looked down upon in this country. They're persecuted, ostracized. A lot of the Cambodians see them as filthy cockroaches who are stealing their fish and dirtying their nation. For a variety of reasons, they are very much a marginalized and impoverished society here. What creates the perfect storm as far as the sale of children into the sex trade here, the sale of Vietnamese children into the sex trade, is that the Cambodians, the Khmer people, are traditionally darker in complexion, a little less attractive to both the Asians and the Western tourists that come in, and even for the local sex trade, the Vietnamese girls with their paler skin and more slender features are seen as very attractive, more attractive. So you have this impoverished community here that is looked down upon and marginalized, but at the same time their daughters and their sons, but mostly their daughters, are looked upon as beautiful, and that is the perfect cauldron for despair, in that these poor families have nothing but their daughters as a resource to help sustain them. They have nothing but their daughters to be able to get out of debt traps. They have nothing but their daughters to see any hope for the future. Very desperate situation indeed. It's early in the morning here in Manila, the Philippines, and we've just spent a little time walking around one of the red light districts. And really, degradation and exploitation doesn't run 9 to 5. It's 24/7. We've got girls that have handed us cards over the past 24 hours or so that have working hours from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. We've been solicited on the streets here as early as 7:30 this morning. Actually dialogued with a group of girls offering massages when we told them too early for massage. They basically said early morning exercise. But one of the reasons they are working the streets so early in the morning, according to them, is that the police touch them and snatch them at night. And basically what that means is the police want their way. They want their pound of flesh in order to offer protection. But also they're probably typically working stretches of street that are controlled by syndicates or the bar owners, and the girls that they are slaveholders to inside. So the girls working the street are basically not good for business, they're competition. And so the police are pretty much paid off to usher these girls away, where according to them they could spend 24 hours or so in jail, and as you can imagine there's probably liberties taken with them during that time. Some of these girls will communicate that they're freelancers, that they're doing it of their own volition. Most of the girls and boys caught up in the sex trade are trained to say that, so that if they're ever caught or busted for being underage, or somebody's trying to follow the story, that it wouldn't lead back to a slaveholder who would get in trouble and then punish them. But there are certainly some girls that are doing it of free choice. What we would define as free choice, but basically a choice made because of intense poverty in their communities. We talked with a group of 5 girls this morning who said that they were the chief breadwinners for their families, and the main girl talking to us said that her parents don't know what she does. They think she works in some sort of job as a street messenger. She is indeed working the streets, but not as a street messenger. These girls are people's daughters. These girls are sisters, are children, and desperately need people in the West to become aware and become involved and to make a difference. No child should be selling themselves on the streets at 7 in the morning, and certainly no child should be selling those streets, period, at any time, any day, on any street on this planet.
Imagine being sold into slavery for $10. Imagine being sold into slavery by your parents for $10. The next girl that you're going to hear from here, that is entirely her situation. Her drug-addicted parents sold her to a neighbor for $10 behind their house. A neighbor who then argued within the community upon her rescue that he had fair and square purchased her. Imagine the type of community where you believe that's the type of argument you can put forth and have right standing before your peers, before your neighbors. Watch, learn, and be moved by her story.
This is Phang Moi, and I'm Marcus, and Phang Moi has been with us for about 10 years now. And when we first heard about Phang Moi, Samuel, who was working with us, had a lady up in a village in northern Thailand who was kind of keeping an eye out on things in terms of children that were extreme risk. And Phang Moi's story was that when she was about 6 years old, her parents both had drug addictions, and they were hooked on opium and things connected to that drug trade. And because of that, they had a lot of poverty in the family. There's a lot of times when Phang Moi didn't have enough to eat, and her parents would constantly fight, especially if there was any money. They'd fight over who had control of the money so that they could go out and buy more drugs. But one day, when they were desperate to get some more opium, Phang Moi's mother took her out behind the house and sold her for 300 baht to a neighbor. It was a Chinese man who we're not sure what his motives were exactly, whether he wanted to use her as a household servant or what, but he bought her for 300 baht. And when her mom got the 300 baht, both her and her husband both fled the property at that point. And her sister, who had married about 14, 15 years old, was 17 years old, came in and pled on her behalf and took her into her house. And there was about a 3-month standoff between her sister and this man who had bought her. And at that point, our friend up in that particular town or city contacted us and told us about Phang Moi. And Samuel came in and paid the 300 baht to this Chinese man so that we could settle the debt, and took her into our home, and she's been with us ever since. And she's just got a sweet, beautiful spirit. and has just been an amazing blessing to us. The entire time she's been here, I mean, my wife and I, every time I see her, my heart just melts. She's just such a sweetheart, and just has the love of Jesus in her heart. We're just so blessed that we could be a part of her life in a small and really significant way, because her life is precious to Jesus, and she's going to do amazing things in her life. ฟังไว้อยากจะขอบคุณจริงๆนะฟังไว้เป็นคนปรัชญานะแล้วก็อธิบายให้เรารู้เรื่องนี้ว่ามีหลายคนที่ต้องเข้าใจปัญหาเป็นยังไงถ้าเขาเข้าใจเขาจะมีใจช่วยคนอื่นด้วยนะต้องขอบคุณมากๆจะช่วยบอกเราเรื่องนี้นะผมเข้าใจว่าไม่ง่ายนะไม่ง่ายบอกนะแต่มีประโยชน์จริงๆอยากจะขอบคุณนะเข้าใจไหมแล้วก็ฟังมันอยากจะบอกอะไรอีกไหมมีอะไรอยากจะบอกไหม I'm asking Fang Moy if there's anything she wants to say to us.
อยู่กับพ่อแม่ที่นี่เป็นไง
ก็อยากจะขอบคุณนะคะการอยู่ที่นี่ก็รู้สึกอยู่ที่บ้านกับที่นี่ก็เปลี่ยนแปลงมากได้อยู่ที่นี่ก็ได้รู้จักกับทุกๆคนแล้วก็ได้เปลี่ยนเป็นชีวิตของตัวเองจากการที่เป็นเด็กที่แบบสกปรกเด็กที่ไม่สะอาดอยู่ที่นี่เขาช่วยดูแลแล้วเราก็เชื่อฟังเขาจนเราก็โตขึ้นมาก็เป็นเด็กที่น่ารักอีกคนหนึ่งของพ่อแม่ที่นี่ก็อยากจะขอบคุณพ่อกับแม่ที่เลี้ยงดูเราตั้งแต่เด็กขนาดพ่อแม่ของเราก็เขายังไม่คิดที่จะดูแลเราก็ให้จะขอบคุณค่ะ
So Pamela just is saying she's grateful that she could come here. She said when she came here, she was just a dirty little thing, didn't know how to take care of herself, and they made her beautiful, taught her how to be good-mannered and how to be successful in life, and brought her in a place where she was loved and cared for, and she was just extremely grateful, as you can see. พระเจ้าอวยพรก็รักฟังว่าจริงๆนะ
Birthdays are a time of celebration, of gathering with friends, of receiving presents and cards, of reflecting upon the joy and accomplishments of the past year. Many millions of children around the world don't even know their birthday, do not know the day they were born. But far worse than this are the children who suffer on their birthdays. Many of these same children who are orphaned, highly vulnerable, are snatched up by traffickers, and on their birthdays is torment. Like the 12-year-old girl in a brothel in Cambodia, who on her birthday has to service between 20 and 30 men, many of them from her local neighborhood. The only thing getting unwrapped on her birthday is her. And the 7-year-old boy in the jungles of Burma who carries a rifle that's taller than he is, trudging through the hot and humid jungle. The only thing getting unwrapped on his birthday is his bedroll on the jungle floor amidst the spiders and vipers and scorpions and a whole lot of fear. You can make a difference in the lives of these children, those who are trafficked and enslaved as prostitutes and child soldiers. You can give up your birthday to rescue them, to give them a hope for their next birthday. Learn how to give up your birthday for the child who's been trafficked and enslaved.
You know, I get a lot of mail from some kids, and sometimes I get to read them. I'll meet a kid and I'll know that they're coming back to a show. You know, they'll say, "Hey, I'll see you on Friday," and it's Wednesday or something, and I'll read a letter that they write me, and if it's something like that, you know what I mean, I'll go talk to them and tell them everything's all right. You know, sometimes, you know, in a lot of cases, our kids write us and they really open up to us and tell us a lot of things that they won't even talk about to their closest friends or their family, and I think they do that because they probably think that we might not read it, or if we do, you know, they probably won't see us again or something, and they won't have the time to, you know, who knows what the process is behind it. But, you know, a lot of cases, these kids really open up to us, and that's special. That's something special, that they feel like our music helps them through that, and that, or like knowing that that's happened to me, and seeing that, you know, I can still be a happy guy with the family, and, you know, hang around with my friends and do something productive, like, you know, make music to be an outlet, and not destroy myself in the process, is something that I think that they can look up to, you know. So I think that that's something that also kind of, you know, because we have this really great open kind of idea behind our lyrics, you know, people can take those things and really attach them to any part of their life.
What? Hello? You want to watch chaos? Watch this. My name is Paul. What is your name? Jamie. Hi.
My name's Paul Myhill. Ever since I was a young man, I've been a world traveler. As a kid, I was a fast tracker, plunged headfirst into entrepreneurial ventures. With all the success, I was losing a sense of significance, my place in the world. My first real taste of suffering children came on a visit to Uganda in the 90s. A little girl named Peace, 2 years old, as fragile as balsa wood, was suffering from malaria, had lost her parents to AIDS. My wife and I took turns holding this little girl, wiping her brow, only to learn a couple of weeks later, after returning to the United States, that she didn't make it. And that little girl has left a lasting impression upon me. A person like little Peace should not have to die simply because she is born in the wrong quadrant of this globe, while we sit idly by chasing our toys, much like I used to do. There's a fair amount of places around the world where we put ourselves in a fair amount of risk. But our compassion for the children and asking the question, well, if not me, who? Who is going to stand in the gap and reach out to be an aid for these children? We're in Chisinau, Moldova right now, the 10th poorest nation in the world, and certainly the most impoverished nation in all of Europe. Most people in the United States have never even heard of it. Moldova, known as the trafficking hub of this part of the world, population of a little over 4 million, and by some statistics, 400,000 of its people have been trafficked out.
This is the area where one of the head guys involved in human trafficking lives here, and nobody, police doesn't come this place. Okay. Just be careful. The cameras are on both sides of the house, and they see us. Be careful. Those guys are watching. It's a very known criminal area. If you come with a car and you're trying to run away from here, this is the only way. No way to get out of here. If you know so much, these guys would love, or they want to kill you. Yeah. Because you know the names, you know a lot of stuff. That's why I call these girls that are really released from human trafficking. They are like submarines. They go deep and they don't say anybody anything if they want to stay alive.
Those guys are living close to this railroad and are having girls transported
from this area. Connects Moldova to Romania, to Ukraine, and to the port in Ukraine on Odessa.
We're standing in one of Istanbul's port areas. Girls from Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, Transnistria are shipped to Turkey into the sex trade here, either as a destination point or as a transit point. The girls are actually put onto containers, and if you can imagine having a 32-hour plus ride in a container to then be let out and to then suffer the exploitation that occurs afterwards.
The Turkish mafia basically rented a whole hotel, took these girls to this hotel, impregnated them, and the babies were then taken to have their organs harvested. Can you imagine the depth of depravity that it takes to take a poor child in an orphanage who's already lost their parents or already been abandoned, to then take them to a place of being raped, to then see that same child bear a child, and maybe finally feeling like, gosh, I've accomplished something. Here's offspring, you know, of my womb, to only then have that child ripped away to be harvested. And you've got rich people in the Emirates and Turkey and other countries of affluence, and they've got a dying child. They don't care about the child in a poor developing world. All they care about is they want to save the life of their child. They don't care how that heart, how that liver, how that kidney comes. All they care about is their child. And there's men who are willing to facilitate that. It's warped. No one is immune. Women, children, boys, Southeast Asia, Indian subcontinent, Latin America, Eastern Europe. There is nobody that is immune and out of the grip of this evil.
So we're in Pattaya, Thailand, an area known for the sex tourism industry. A lot of people come here actually on an official sex tour. You can see one of the tour buses. Now he's got his hand on bare skin. It doesn't get more of something else. Hold on, this guy in the suspenders.
Yeah. As we've walked this street here, it feels like a carnival atmosphere. What can only be described as a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh yeah. She was young. She was young.
It's 5 a.m. in Patpong, one of Bangkok's prostitution districts. This bar beside me here has a rather offensive name, but the truth is that everything that goes on this street and many like it in Bangkok is truly offensive.
There's 50 girls at 6 in the morning?
Yes, sir. But now happy hour. Happy hour, the first room.
No photo, no photo. Well, don't have the door open then.
One of the things that really gets to me personally is a lot of these girls have numbers pinned to their chest, where a client would then pick out a girl by a number. They don't have a name, they don't have a history, they don't have a family. They're simply a number. They're a piece of meat to be put on display and chosen for butchering.
It's a little after 7 in the morning, and the girls are still working out on the streets. It's a little early to be working this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, because in the night time the police is catching.
In the nighttime, the police are snatching the girls?
Touching.
Oh, touching. They abuse the girls. So you like to work the daytime to avoid the police? Just across the border in northern Thailand, actually in Burma, and the sign behind me pretty much says it all. An exhortation to not sell your children, to not see your children be placed into domestic servitude, to beat and abuse them, and to also see them in a situation of child prostitution, sexual slavery. Imagine being sold into slavery for $10.
ไม่มีความสุขค่ะพ่อแม่ก็ต่างคนต่างแยกกันอยู่
My mother sold me for about 300 baht back behind the house, about 10 bucks.
The scars run deep, and it takes a loving home to be able to help mend some of those wounds.
In a lot of these countries we work in, these kids graduate or age out of these institutional orphanages, often corrupt institutional orphanages, where even the directors will call the traffickers and let them know when certain kids are being released. I'm now involved in a campaign, Traffic Jam. They're seeking to unite musicians and their fans to jam up child trafficking around the world while also jamming to make a difference. We've got a lot of artists that have given us signed instruments as part of this Instruments of Change program. I've got a beautiful guitar here that was donated to us by Dave Matthews. He's signed it. He's put some pretty incredible artwork on it here because he believes in this cause, and he believes that this instrument can be an instrument of change. Just a stroke of a pen can break the chains of slavery for a child.
Hello. Wow, hi.
There's few things on this planet that elicit such a passionate response in people than the music they identify with and the causes they identify with, and to marry those together, there's power in that.
Yesterday here in Chisinau, Moldova, we drove into areas that many people would quite frankly fear to tread, or in our case drive. We basically in a rather plain van drove into an area known for human trafficking, for the sex trade, where homes of some of these organized crime bosses are, where little dirt roads intersect, where the only way in and out is a very small, thin bridge to really prevent people being able to make a fast escape from the area if discovered. Now, it's a rather surreal area with high walls, razor wire, video cameras not just above door entries but literally on the sides of these buildings, peering at you as you drive by. We did manage to get a little bit of video footage of that, but we're having to be very careful with just how we use the camera for obvious reasons. Now, also on these properties, which are kind of set in secluded areas of Chisinau, which again are very inaccessible, you'll see the huts where the women and other trafficked persons are not only to perform services but as a readying area to then be put onto a train. This area is right next to the train tracks where these people are then trafficked through Romania, Ukraine, and beyond. It's really a transportation hub, which obviously makes for the trafficking of these people rather easy. Very prime location, an area we were told that police do not go, whether through fear or through bribery. And right adjacent to this area is an underpass of a bridge, which is known as Sex Under the Bridge, where some of these women and girls are basically forced to peddle their wares under the overpass, maybe as their final place of humiliation and exploitation, or as just a one stop along the way before they get transported somewhere else.
Each morning, as the tide receded, a young boy walked along the beach, plucking starfish from the drying sand. Abandoned by the water, the starfish were sure to die in the growing heat, but the boy would toss each starfish he came upon back into cool and calming waves. A passerby shook his head at the boy's slow pursuit and grunted, "Don't bother, child. Those starfish go on for miles. You will never make a difference." But the boy, grundling another small creature on his hand, tossed it back to the sea and simply replied, "It made a difference to that one."
Saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Ain't saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Ain't saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Ain't saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Hold it down. Hold it down. Hold it down. Hold it down. I'm not saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Ain't saying what I say for the hell of it. I don't get paid to lie. Ain't saying what I say for the hell of it.